Hey everybody, and welcome to Nerd Dad's Gaming Lair. Tonight we're going to be playing the new Microsoft Flight Simulator. One of the modes in Flight Simulator is bush runs, where you take a small aircraft and you navigate completely by sight and heading in time. And then there's no GPS, there's none of that. It's all old school. I will be using, I'll show you real quick, a T-Flight HOTAS set. So I have a throttle and a stick. I also have a keyboard mouse, and I have some stuff programmed on my flight deck. I probably won't use it for this plane. Anyway, so this is the second run in California, the Sierra Nevada mountains, right at the foothills here. So let's get ready to fly. All right, I'm gonna get my cockpit view up. I will show you what I have for navigation real quickly. So this is the navigation. Basically, it gives you some little specifics about where you will be going. I'm going to keep that up here. I'm the captain now, Colton says. Sure, Colton, sure. Anyway, so I'm going to be navigating basically by the specifics given to me on this little chart. So the first one is depart the airport and begin the second leg of your bush trip, heading northwest towards US Route 395. The long asphalt ribbon bends ever so slightly north, leading you into a pass flanked by sloping hillsides and eventually toward the aptly named Little Lake. So we're going to go ahead and take off. Let me increase my throttle. My plane's going to pick up in the back end. Alright, I'm going to rudder over, pick up some airspeed, pull up, and we're flying. And you'll notice in this plane, the gauges are pretty simple, right? So I have an altimeter, I have an airspeed indicator, tachometer, I have a vertical speed indicator on my far left. Some pretty basic switches. This is a pretty basic plane. These planes get a little crazy in this game, and they come with a whole lot of buttons and switches. But for bush trips, it's really helpful to have the external view. And I'll tell you why. I'll show you right now. Because I'm trying to find Route 395. And there it is on the left side right there. Alright, so we're going to climb to about 4,000 feet, and then I'm going to set my cruise altitude and speed. We're going to cruise at about 80 knots. And back this off to 40% or so. Yeah, right in there. Alright, and actually, I'll set my trim down a bit. Alright. Alright, my trim is down. I'll stop climbing and I'll wind up getting a little bit of airspeed here. We're almost set. Okay, so I'm coming out of the climb. Still a little too high. Oh, be helpful if I use the right button. There's so many buttons on this stuff. Okay. My trim still look much. All right. Trim down a hair. We're just about right. Just about. Okay, so I should be pretty consistently 80 knots in my vertical speed indicator. I should level out. Come on, come back up. There we go. And back the throttle a hair. And that should fix that. Alright. So the first leg of this bush trip, we're going to be following Route 395, which is directly under us right now. We're going to be following that for 11 minutes. So let me set my happy little stopwatch over here. I've got the plane on pause so I can do that. Alright. Set my stop timer. I gotta get this trim right so I can not have to control it as much. It's kind of a feathering between the trim and the throttle, honestly. The constant struggle to get the right numbers. So I want to be within, you know, I don't want to be bouncing up and down by 100 feet constantly. A little more throttle. I think we're in a real close zone here. There we go. That's good. And, you know, up by 85 feet per minute. My vertical speed right now is 85 feet per minute, according to the gauge. Kind of on the left corner, or the right corner there. Now it's negative 50. It's a constant struggle with the wind, and I am flying downwind currently. Okay, so we're going to follow this for 11 minutes and 36 seconds until we reach the South Hawi Reservoir. So if you'll see off in the distance there's a couple of foothills. We're going to go between those and into the reservoir. But while we're flying around a bit, I'm just going to show you the views. So what Microsoft has done in this game is taken live satellite data and overlaid it with an AI. They actually absorbed a studio that did this. They overlaid it with AI so that things like buildings, stuff that wouldn't show up three-dimensionally on a satellite image actually shows up three-dimensionally. You can fly over your house. It's a complete three-dimensional item. It's pretty cool. I did it the other day in a very small plane, and I paused right in front of my house and took a picture. It's pretty interesting. But anyway, you'll see off to the left here or to the north, we have foothills of the mountains. We have some coming up on the right, on the east side, and far off on the east side. But we're going to go through the pass here in a minute. So part of this game is just sitting and waiting and enjoying the view. And that's where we're at right now. I have no hands on the controls at the moment. This plane is flying itself with no autopilot. So I have a sufficient amount of, I don't have any roll happening. I've got my trim pretty properly set. You can see my vertical speed's about 40, 45. My altitude's not climbing, and I'm going a little over 75 knots. Pretty respectable. As far as PC specs to play this game, if you're wondering, this is on a Ryzen 7 1700X. So that is an 8-core 16-thread processor. Or maybe 6-core 12-thread. Colton, correct me if I'm wrong. It's on a GTX 2060 Super graphics card. 32 gigs of memory. Memory is a large consumer in this game. So I have 32 gigs of memory in this machine, and this game consumes 50% of that memory to run. And sadly, I don't have a properly sized solid-state drive for this, because this game takes up 300 gigabytes on its own with all the DLC. So this is running on a spinning disk, which is why every now and then you see a little bit of a stutter. It's nothing to do with the processor or the graphics. It is everything to do with it loading more map data from that rusty old spinner drive. So I will eventually remedy that, hopefully. But anyway, it does take a pretty beefy PC. Now mine is running at about 20% CPU utilization and 20% GPU utilization. So it's not very taxing. This is at 1080p. I'm not 4K'ing this. I could get away with 4K. I don't know that I could maintain 60 frames doing 4K. But Pretty beautiful game. You'll notice in the back there's a bunch of like names. Those are tags of all the other players that are in the map with me. So this is an open world game. And I could have comms with them, but I don't currently. We're going to bank it to a little bit of a roll. Stick with this. Our heading should be 334 degrees. Right now we're at 341. We'll come into 334 degrees. Kind of leave her there for a minute. Coming up on 5 minutes on the clock. The ETE for this step is 11 minutes and 36 seconds. So we have a little bit longer to go. And we're at 333. That's a close enough heading for a bushcraft, man. Actually, I'm going to admit I've already flown this route. I actually just finished it before I started the stream. And I got all the way to the landing field, which you'll see a little bit. The landing field, and I have a picture of it, but it's a dirt landing field. And I hit the brakes a little too soon, and I came in a little too fast. And I completely tipped the plane over on its front end. So I had to start up. I got through this entire flight and then tipped the plane over at the very end. But yeah, I mean, again, about the game itself, I do not recommend you play this with keyboard and mouse. It is a nightmare, and I mean that very literally, a nightmare with a keyboard and a mouse. It will frustrate you endlessly if you try to do this with a keyboard and a mouse. Don't do it. If you don't have flight stick or throttle, use a controller, but for crying out loud, do not use your keyboard and mouse. It is horrendous with that platform. If you have a properly set up, flight stick, which this isn't a full yoke, they make some serious stuff for this. Like Logitech, if you go look up the G-Flight series, makes some really serious equipment for flight simulation, like a full yoke and throttles and gauges, all kinds of things. You can have a whole cockpit basically. But even this little bit is very helpful. I mean, as you can see, I haven't actually touched the controls in a while. I'm just giving it a little bit of roll on occasion to maintain my position with the road more than anything. So anyway, we're coming up on the pass. Yeah, Jeremy can definitely attest to this game being a nightmare on keyboard and mouse. He actually came over and played it on my joystick setup, and it was much more enjoyable for him. So I recommend that you do that. And this is actually a PS4 version of the HOTAS, the T-Flight by Thrustmaster. But it works on PC just as well. So you do need some drivers. They're a little obscure to find, but it can be done. Don't be afraid. Anyway, so yeah, I'm just gonna let us go for a minute. We're gonna bank right here in a second, and we're gonna be on to the next part of this journey, which I'll go ahead and read you the navlog entry for. So as you continue along Route 395, you'll soar over the volcanic fields and chasms sculpted black lava toward the Hawaii reservoirs, Hawaii, I don't know how to pronounce it, reservoirs, bifurcated bodies of water on the east side of the road. So yeah, I've already navved this. It was a little more difficult navving it the first time, but this is really a pretty simple leg. This is a multi-leg trip, by the way. There's like 15 legs of this bush trip. I've already done one. This is the second leg in this bush trip. So the road's still under us, and I can see up on the far. It's actually the north in there. That's the water it's talking about on the east side of the road. So we're just going to continue this way. Still maintaining like 76 knots, 77 knots. Pretty good vertical speed. And if you'll notice, my trim, which is right next to that vertical speed indicator, is near 0. So the plane is basically, it is not adjusted up or down at all. It's just got the right speed. Speed is very important. Yeah, and Jeremy is right. If you have a controller, calibration is super important if you're going to do this on a controller. It is a little bit, it's less frustrating than the keyboard. I'll put it that way. It's not perfect, but it's much better than a keyboard. And if you plug in an Xbox controller, Microsoft already has all the key mappings done for you. If you use any controller that's not a Microsoft controller, there's a good chance that you'll have to map the keys and the axes, which can be its own frustration. Because there are literally 1,000 controls to map in this game. I don't even have them all mapped currently. A lot of them are still on the keyboard. They're just not things you have to use very often. And it does give you hints about it. And I do have some on the Stream Deck too. So it lets me do things like put my landing gear down or hit my comms buttons, those kinds of things, without having to go to my keyboard while I've got the flight stick up. So use anything at your disposal, but please, I beg of you, do not use your keyboard to fly a plane. You'll hate this game in the first 10 minutes if you do that. I downloaded it on Tuesday and thought I was going to be able to do that. Not going to happen. Anyway, so we are on the second portion of this flight now. So we're going to make our way toward the upper reservoir, which will be coming up past the next set of foothills on the right side. And then not too far past that is the runway, the dirt runway. This time I hopefully will come in much slower. Now that I know where it's at, I actually had to turn around and find it last time. So I should have taken another pass and slowed down properly, but I didn't. So I'll come in much slower this time and lower. And I promise I won't crash the plane. I think. I shouldn't promise that. Hard to make those kind of promises in this game. But anyway, while we're doing this, I'm going to look around. I mean, it's really beautiful. Really beautiful. They did a great job. The planes are really well modeled. Like, this plane in particular doesn't have a whole lot of, you know, it's not a particularly beautiful plane, but it's really well modeled. The reflections are good. The landscape is good. It's all real time, not very near time satellite data. If you're playing in the regular open world experience, the weather is also real time. So if it is raining where you're flying, it is raining. If it's nighttime, it's nighttime. Jeremy and I actually, over the weekend, did a daytime flight over part of Sweden. Really beautiful territory. I thought about doing that for this video, but I thought I would get my bush trips in, because you get achievements for this, and it's in your flight log, so I want to log more flight hours and take off some landings. Last night I actually flew out of the local airport here, which is an international airport, with a very small plane, thinking that I could fly in a thunderstorm, because I thought that'd be really cool. Let's fly in a thunderstorm and see what happens. Well, quickly learned that a small plane and a thunderstorm do not mix. I was literally flying sideways the entire time. My nose was pointed at least, 30-35 degrees off of the direction I was going. I was going a completely different direction. The wind was just pushing me everywhere. But the lightning was really cool. The rain effects were really cool. They did a good job. I think they might have rushed it a little bit, the release of this game. The content's all there, but you just don't have a lot of, I'd say story mode adventures. It's not really story mode in here. But you have the bush challenges, which there are 3 of, and they're multi-leg, which are nice. And then you have some landing challenges, which I haven't messed with. They're really difficult. And I am not experienced at this at all. So I'm going to save those for a later time. But they need some more content in that direction. A little bit more stuff it's predefined to do would be awesome. I think it'd be really cool if they would do a whole campaign about deliveries. Even bush deliveries, that'd be neat. You're delivering things to different areas. Kind of like a mix of Death Stranding and Flight Simulator. Be kind of cool. Someone's flying right there below me. I don't know who. Alright, so when we come around this hill up here, on the right side there will be the reservoir, according to what this is saying. The far end of the upper reservoir is my runway, so we got to fly past the reservoir. We are about 3 minutes out from the head end of this reservoir. Still doing 77 knots with very little vertical speed change. So I'm happy with the trimming that I found here. I'm getting pretty used to this plane. I have, again, no hands on it. I can send a text. I can do anything. The plane's going to fly itself. And there is, I'll show you real quick, the active pause feature. So if I press this button, the plane stands still. So I can do whatever I want. You know, if I wanted to take like a screenshot, if I found, oh look, there's someone underneath me. They must be doing the same run I am. They're in the same plane. But I can stop the plane and take a screenshot. I can set it up like, you know, where you see the sun in the background. All kinds of cool stuff you can do. That guy is flying really, really low to the ground. Really low. There he goes. Now he's pulling up. Come on up, buddy. Going low and fast. If you do go too fast, you can overstress the aircraft and you will fail. That's why I'm going the recommended amount of knots currently. I'm not getting too crazy. You see there's a lot of aircraft out there north of me. Alright, so you can kind of see the reservoir poking out on the right side here. Now, having flown this before, I can tell you we're going to pass the reservoir and the landing strip will be on the left side of the road. So I'm going to hang to the left side of the road, kind of over toward the mountain ridge a bit. So this reservoir feeds the Las Vegas Aqueduct, is what it says. So part of the Las Vegas Aqueduct actually runs from or to this reservoir. You'll see that up here in a little bit. It's going to cross the road. Pretty view right there. I think it's crazy how they use satellite imagery for this. It does load the satellite imagery from the internet while you're playing, so don't play this on like a hotspot. It tells you how much data it used. There's a counter in here, but just for a little flight like this, it can use a gig or two of data. You can disable all that if you want and use the cached version. Or if there's somewhere you intend to fly a lot, you can download a cached version specifically of that area. And it won't pull it live if you don't want it to. But, you know, it's kind of nice. And I don't know if you notice there's like traffic underneath those too. Now that traffic is not real life. That traffic is AI generated. And if you get real close to it, it looks really stupid. I actually took a plane and drove it like a car for a little bit on the highway. The vehicles, you can drive through them, and they are not actually in the lane most of the time. So, yeah, it's a good effect from up here for sure. It's not something that holds true when you get real low. And actually, if we wanted to, I'll show you what close to the ground looks like. We'll get close. We'll do what that other guy did a minute ago. Buzz the tower. Yeah, so as you get closer, see there's like a building in the middle of the road right there. Just because the GPS data had it off by a little bit. So you see there's vehicles. The road graphic is pretty minimal. I think if I were those cars, I would be really concerned right now. Seeing a plane this close to the highway and low. Go mess around over here. I said I wasn't going to go to the reservoir, but I am going to go to the reservoir. I'm going to touch the water. They did a pretty good job of water effects in this game too. All the ripples and reflections. Yeah, the traffic is pretty neat. Like I said, it's just not really graphically accurate traffic. You can do some pretty dangerous stuff out here that you really couldn't do in real life. I mean, there's no way you could, unless you owned the property that this was on, maybe. There's no way you could get away with this and keep your pilot's license. I don't want to touch the water with my wheels because it will break my plane and I will have to redo this. And if that happens, we're doing something else. We're not going to come back and start this flight over again. Okay. I mean, just to show you. I mean, it's really cool. You can get super low and do some things. Throttle up and pull out of this. Get back over to the road. There's the aqueduct underneath us. We're gonna pull this way. The aqueduct's gonna cut left out of here. The highway's back over here. And the runway's really not too far from here. Actually, I think we're within a mile or two of it right now. Yeah, that looks right there. So I think that green spot, so you can see the houses, they're actually made three-dimensional. Look, there's cars driving in the field. That's not right. I want to say this is my runway, either this blob here is or the next one. Normally runways are better marked, but this one just happens to be like a dirt bush runway. So like traditional airports are better marked. Even really small airports exist. So a town that I go to often has a really small municipal airport. It doesn't even have like an actual call sign for the airport, but I landed at it the other day. Totally exists. Okay. I guess I mistook that. My runway's further down here, just a little bit. At the very end of the reservoir. Let me go spot it, and then I'm going to pull around and make an approach. Back off the throttle a little bit here. Yeah, so you see it over here, I think. Yeah, that's it. That dirt patch right there, I don't even know if I need a second approach. I do need a second approach. I'm gonna bank right, or bank left, and pull over to approach that. So my airfield is right there on the right. You can't really see it. That grass cut strip, but it's not the grass cut strip, it's the little strip of dirt. Yeah, I could fly over Fort Smith for sure. I don't think I could do it with live weather because we're not real good at night flights yet. But okay, so I'm gonna bank pretty hard. I want to line up with that runway. Okay, you can see my runway now. There it is. Alright, so I'm going to start dropping altitude, decrease my speed. This plane does not have flaps, so it's all going to be airspeed reduction. It's not going to be, it's going to be friction. It's not going to be any extra assistance with reducing speed here. I want to land in the aqueduct. There's another plane on the runway. Ah! See the... No, don't tip. Okay, I'm gonna taxi back around before I actually stop the plane. I don't want to stop in the way of other aircraft like that guy did. Okay. Full stop. Well, it didn't. Maybe it didn't want me to stop there. Maybe it wants me to stop on the runway. That doesn't make any sense. There it goes. Okay. That completes the bush journey. Leg completed. 32 minutes. Alright. I've done 20 takeoffs, 7 landings, 1 night takeoff. I did not land on that one. Actually going to adjust a couple of settings real quick like. So the menu loads take forever because there's just so much data to pull. They take way too long. Okay. I'm going to go back. I want to do something real quick. So right before I started the stream, I adjusted my graphics settings to do some other stuff. So you see I put it on 130% render scaling. I'm going to put it back to 100. I noticed it was a little more choppy than it was before. So I think that's more just a GPU memory. And no problem. I was going to go fly around Fort Smith, but I can do it some other time. I'm trying to think of a cool place to fly around. I don't know if I want to do any more bush journeys now. So let's go to the world map. So this is the world map. You can go anywhere in the world you want. All the major airports are marked very accurately. You can also fly out of very minor airports, like I said. I did fly around Sweden the other day, Norway up here. It's really cool. If I fly around Texas, which is where I'm at, it's not super pretty. So I probably won't do any of that. I did fly around Alaska. That was pretty interesting too. I think I might take off. Let's see. I took off for Gardermoen the other day. So I'm gonna set Gardermoen as my departure. Let me get an aircraft. I liked the extra. I might want the diamond. It's a double engine. They have even these small little planes. They have itty bitty little things. It's kind of nice to have a little bit more power. That's 91 nautical miles an hour. That's the Grand Caravan. I could fly in the Aviat. I don't know. I like the diamonds. I'm gonna go with the extra. I flew that the other day. I really liked the extra. So I could fly in Gardermoen right now, or I could go to Arkansas. Arkansas is pretty. Let's see. That's Florida. Missouri. Cincinnati. Trying to find. Let's see. I can probably just do. I can look for it. Fort Smith. Flight conditions right now. Stormy. That's not the right Fort Smith. Let's see. Arkansas City. Fayetteville. Let me take out of Fayetteville. Fly to Dallas. Tulsa, Davis. Other planes around. Smith. Springdale. We'll set Smith as the arrival. Okay. Flight conditions right now. It's stormy. So I know I set it to storms. Haha. We don't want to do that. We'll do live weather at 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock in the afternoon. 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Sure. I like dusk flying. That'll be fun. Live players, live air traffic control, which is pretty cool in this game. And after I've flown once, for some reason my menus get really janky. I don't know why. I've noticed a lot of people have the same kind of complaints. Okay, let's fly. We're gonna take this little aircraft out of this gigantic airport. Come on. I don't want it to I don't want to be a night flight. Alright. We'll put it back to 6 p.m. 7 p.m. We'll go 7 p.m. That's fine. Come on, I pressed the button. Okay. Now fly. I don't know what it is about these menus. They're just sometimes really janky in this game. Okay. So we're going to take this small plane out of this gigantic airport. Just do some flying. Arkansas is actually a really pretty part of the country, so it should be interesting. Now, if it were snowing, that'd be cool, but it's not snowing there yet. I could turn snow on. I have not. Oh, let's see. Loading. Loading. Takes forever to load. in between things. Come on, you can do it. So this plane will probably have flaps, which the smaller one did not. It will. I don't remember if this one has landing gear. No, this one does not have landing gear. It's got fixed gear, which is one reason why I picked it.
Tower Extra Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra ready for west.
There's my radio tower. Okay, so we're gonna get nav up real quick, and my air traffic control, and my nav log. Okay, let me pull all this stuff around so that I can see it. So I do have live GPS data in this aircraft, which is nice. Alright. So we are ready to push off. Take my parking brake off. I'll look outside real quick. Okay, we're good and lined up. And these are digital gauges for this aircraft, which is pretty cool. You can see I have a good runway view here. We're about ready to take off. There we go. This one wants to pull on its own. This airplane is like really easy to pull on.
Extra X-Ray Golf Sierra, continue for west departure. I will contact you next when you leave my airspace. Extra X-Ray Golf Sierra, you are leaving my airspace. Frequency change approved.
It's real touchy.
Tower Extra Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra, frequency change. Kilo Sierra Lima Golf traffic Extra Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra 11 miles northeast 2,200 feet inbound to land runway 18.
So I do hear traffic from other players in the game, so they're landing, all that stuff. I hear all their flight control traffic. And look behind me. And my destination marker is over there. Wow, that's not very far away at all. Ashmore Airfield. There's a bunch of people flying right now. Bentonville. There we go. Fly to Bentonville. That's the home of Walmart right there. I'm gonna get real close to some of these buildings so you can see what cities look like. Should be able to do that in this plane. That marker there. I'm trying to find this marker, but I'm not paying any attention to where I'm flying. Ah, Taylor Field. Okay. Let's go. Let's dive bomb the town. We are going really fast. really fast. Okay. So the houses kind of pop out of the geographic map on here. These people should be really concerned about a plane flying so low over their houses. Really concerned. Speed up a bit so I don't stall. Even the parking lots are full of cars. Look, a little Bentonville Municipal Airport. I could land there. They really need some helicopters. Helicopters would be cool because you could kind of loiter above things for a little longer. It's pretty hard to maintain this in an airplane, actually. We're not having to really feather the throttle to get it done. Look, the cars are flat down there. They didn't put any cars in for us. It all looks the same from 5,000 feet. Lots of trees around here. But these are actual people's houses, so if we were to get a little closer, which I need a much smaller plane to do, that's what I did with mine. And I'm actually getting some frame drop here that I don't like. If we were to get much closer, you could see pretty good detail of the outside of their house. Fly with the highway here. If I don't speed up, I'll stall. That building's like sunk into the ground. It's not all perfect, but I mean, look, they even put the air conditioners on top. Crazy. The level of detail for being, I mean, they didn't like go make each of these buildings individually. They took satellite imagery and recreated them in like near real time for the game. So it's not like something they have sitting on a server pre-rendered. It's rendering this based on AI when I need it. But I think it's pretty cool that you can fly around a real place like this and get this close to the real buildings. Of course, this is actually a pretty hard thing to do. And it would be insanely loud in one of the buildings underneath me right now. Go back over the municipal airfield again, try not to hit any of these trees. Just an empty lot down here at the end of the airfield. I guess in case the planes don't make it. It was a bad landing because I wasn't planning on it. Brakes! Ah, so we landed in Bentonville. I'm gonna come around and I'm gonna take off again. We'll get a couple of takeoffs and landings out of this. Wants me to reduce my speed to 15 knots. I refuse. Alright, we're going to take this taxiway over here. So I'm going to take this other taxiway, and I'm going to come back around. Should be able to get an approach vector, or takeoff, at the end of the runway here. I have enough fuel to do it, so we shall do it. That was not a very clean landing, by the way. It was a really terrible landing. Yeah, so if you're in the aircraft, it's completely, it's absolutely correct. There's no way you're seeing over that instrument cluster to see where you're going when you're taxiing. If this aircraft is not in the air. Turn my rudder. (36C). Alright. West clearing. Ask ATC tower for takeoff clearance. Announce clear of runway. Announce taxi. Alright.
Kilo Victor Bravo Tango traffic Extra Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra is clear of the runway. Kilo Victor Bravo Tango traffic Extra Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra taking off runway tree 6 left touch and go.
Alright, we've announced our traffic to the ATC. And we'll take off again. And we're airborne. Real easy in this plane. Break my altimeter real quick. And we'll go to our planned destination, which has a traffic pattern I have to enter here. At 1,200 feet. Now, this plane is set up to just want to do nothing but climb, man. Let's see how fast we can get there. Nautical miles. And I think I can do about 140 knots safely. It's still a really low altitude for this plane. I'm going to try something real quick. I'm going to put this on pause. I'm going to change a graphics setting. So I put this up on Ultra, and honestly I didn't notice a real big difference. I want to see if potentially putting it on high end makes that stutter disappear. Yeah, it seems to. Most of that stutter is gone now. Alright, so we're going to have to enter the pattern at 1,200 feet. .12 nautical miles to enter the pattern. Going to avoid Northwest Arkansas regional airspace here. I don't want to get mixed up in that. So we're just going to fly over all this empty land out here. Fly, however, I think I'm going into the wind. I think the wind's coming from the west currently. Sure does feel like it. I'm having a rudder to the right. Yeah, the airspeed is above 95 knots. That's for sure. Making good time. See, my tail keeps like whipping around. And that would be just a little bit of wind going on. .8 miles out, and we're gonna have to drop some altitude because that marker says 1,200 feet. Well, that's my destination, 1,200 feet. I don't know what the pattern entrance is. The pattern entrance is probably at 5,000 actually. So I may want to climb a bit. I got plenty of speed to climb with. I also think it'd be interesting. I may have to try it sometime. They have the one acrobatic aircraft. That may be a lot of fun to fly. Have to see. Six nautical miles in. I haven't flown many jets in this game. That's one other thing that I want to do. Jets are kind of cool. They have a little Cessna jet that'd be good to learn on. Alright, there's Smith. I don't know where the airport is or where the leg is. We should get a marker for that in a second though. Letting me know where. And one thing I don't have on in here that's kind of cool that we could do sometime too, especially with like acrobatic aircraft, you can set markers for animals. So like if there's a pack of bears or something, you can actually just like zoom down and stop and look at the bears. You can active pause. I thought that was pretty interesting. Ah, well there's the airfield. But I don't see any of the legs. But I'm not going to fly over it, obviously. I don't know why my AI is not announcing... My AI is not announcing my presence. Manage radio comms. Should be managing my radio comms, man. Maybe it's because I landed somewhere and it had no idea what I was actually doing. I want to announce my final approach real quick, or announce my upwind leg.
Kilo Sierra Lima Golf Traffic Extra Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra is on upwind runway 36.
Turn around and announce final. I overshot the runway pretty good. Ah, come on. Thing is acting real finicky. Alright, yeah, I guess I'll make another turn and announce the final. I'll get a landing out here somewhere. I'll land in the road. Yeah, so that's the view from inside cockpit. Look, it even has a sticker for the approved airspeeds. It's crazy. Okay. I want to see my approach on the airport here. Okay, now we're going to come out here a little bit, bank around again, and then announce our final approach. And make a final approach on the airfield. Ah, man, I totally biffed that one. Okay. Should have done this a little sooner.
Kilo Sierra Lima Golf Traffic Extra Alpha Sierra X-Ray Golf Sierra is on final runway 36 touch and go left traffic.
Whew. Wind. That's not gonna be good. I hit it too hard. That's what happened right there. There was a... I think I took that... I took that runway in the wrong direction. That was the takeoff direction. That was not the landing direction. Yeah, because I was totally facing the wind whenever I did that. So I was fighting it real hard with the rudder. Anyway, that's probably going to be it for tonight. That was Microsoft Flight Simulator. I really enjoy it. If you have Game Pass Ultimate from Microsoft Xbox, go download it on your PC. It does have some pretty high system requirements, but you'd be surprised. So go check it out. Do not use your keyboard. If you have a Game Pass account, you probably have an Xbox controller. Use that. I think you'll be far happier. Anyway, thanks for hanging there with us and checking it out, and we will catch you nerds later.